a cheese recall at Costco that you need to know about. Also, the conservative resurgence in Europe has caused multiple governments now to collapse, and that should bring a smile to your face. Nigel Farage, the European Trump, let's just call him, has been politically reborn and is now running for Prime Minister of the UK. And we got some updates from you guys. Reminder to stash cash because one person desperately needed it in a situation. And also a helpful tip on freezing eggs, plus store updates coming from you guys from all over. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and we cover things on this channel that you won't hear in the mainstream media. And at the end of this video, I got a special clip for you. It's a separate video, not my video, of Nigel Farage telling off the EU from the floor of the EU and then basically giving them the middle finger with all his British representatives by waving flags. It's a fantastic moment in world history when the European Union gets told off by the UK as they depart. You gotta see it. Anyway, we want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They help people who have retirement accounts get out of stocks and bonds, risky things like that, and out of the economy that is imploding into gold, silver, platinum. You know the price of gold and silver is going to go through the roof as the BRICS countries switch their currencies over to gold, silver, and platinum. That's probably where your retirement should be as well. If you have questions, there'll be a link at the end of the video for you to get more information from Genesis Gold. All right, so what has been happening over in Europe? They had their European Union representative elections, and let's just say a whole bunch of people in the EU are suddenly against mass immigration without any kind of checks. They're against the militarization of the EU. Stuff that Nigel Farage was campaigning against in the 2010s. And he called those things out one after the next. And it seems like other countries are finally getting on board with the anti-European Union movement. So basically, a bunch of these countries voted to send representatives to the European Union that were anti-European Union. So a number of governments have been destabilized because of this. The French government, French President Macron, I talked about yesterday. He was embarrassed, but then he did the unthinkable. He decided to call snap elections. He dissolved the parliament, which is mostly his party, to have snap elections, which may mean that conservatives, libertarians may take over. The anti-European folks may take over the parliament. It's a risky move, but he's basically trying to get out ahead of them and cut out their legs. So basically have elections before they're ready for them. And so this could be really big over the next month. By the end of this month, they have the first round of elections, and then the first week of July are the second rounds. Prime Minister of Belgium has suddenly resigned. Also related to this, we got some big news out there, friends. A lot of stuff happening over in Europe. We got Costco, Tillamook cheese recall because they may have foreign objects. So if you picked up cheese recently from Costco, you might want to check to see if it's subject to recall. If not, you might want to just make sure you're chewing it satisfactorily, make sure there isn't anything in there that you shouldn't have, right? All right, Jan in Allentown pointed this out. That kind of slipped under my radar. I didn't actually see this happen. I don't track UK politics too much, but my favorite European. So they said, update about British elections. Nigel Farage has a scaled-down version of Trump. Just announced last week that he is running for Prime Minister. It's just 1 week. In just 1 week, his party has garnered plurality support. So it's possible that they may take over the British Parliament, them and their allies, which would be, let's just say, interesting. The pendulum is swinging back, unfortunately not before a lot of damage has been done. I feel it turning here in the U.S. as well. So, like I said, I got a video. If you haven't watched Nigel Farage, his farewell speech to the European Union. It is, mwah, it is done like only British people can do. Let's just say it that way. His speech just burns the EU to the ground. And all of their duplicity, all of their underhanded dealings, he just calls them out to their face. The room is like practically empty because none of the other European representatives wanted to be there for it. But all the UK people are there. And at the end, they break the rules by pulling out their British flags, which you're not allowed to have British flags on the floor of the Parliament, the European Union. No flags other than the European flag. And they bust out their flags, and oh man, the speaker just kind of flips out on them. It's just great. It's just great. He's just like, "See ya, we're gone." Anyway. I'll have the link at the end of the video for you. Chaz says, my local Kroger's now has only 2 facings of canned potatoes, about 18 cans each of diced and whole, and they are on the very bottom shelf. Like I've said, they like to put the stuff they really want to move at that eye level, convenient space. When they put things up real high or down low, they don't want you to see it. They don't want you to grab it. So we got canned potatoes there. Canned potatoes have been an issue for the last 3 to 6 months with poor potato crops. I went to my local Aldi's, a local discount overstock store, and was there able to purchase Del Monte Harvest canned potatoes for 99 cents a can. So I bought 48 cans. You can still find deals, but you have to put in the work. Aldi's also has good priced canned potatoes, and I think canned potatoes are a great way to go. You can farm all you want, but if you have some money to put at it, you can just get a whole bunch of canned potatoes, and they last basically indefinitely. End of Days says Northeast Pennsylvania. Same here. Can't find the things needed in stores, and beef has become very expensive or non-existent. Shorthand says Walmart in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. They're selling tainted, rotten meat, not replacing those rotted items. No refunds. If you bought it, you own it. So do watch what you're buying. Yeah, especially that I've seen a lot of meat at Walmart and elsewhere where it's oxidizing, so it's turning that gray color. And not very appetizing. Now, they already dye the meat. So they dye it so that it has more of that pink color. But when it turns gray, it's really, really gray, right? Don says, I have another update from Slidell, Louisiana. I noticed the Great Value frozen biscuits cost $1 more than the Mary B frozen biscuits. I also noticed the Great Value guacamole dip in the produce section costs almost $1 more than the name brand guacamole dip. This is the first time I've seen national brands cost less than the Great Value brand. All right, folks, if you have prices changing out there, do be aware that apparently some of the Great Value products out there may be more expensive than name brand. Check those prices before you buy. Check alternative products. Make sure you're cross-checking them to make sure you're getting a good deal, right? If you guys have an update that you'd like to share with the rest of us, please just use the word update in your comment on this video or on any video on this channel that gets it to the right place. Also, make sure you give us some sort of geographical location if possible. Chelsea in Northwest Pennsylvania, not long ago, you couldn't make a dime on a day-old calf. So, calves, right? They went so cheap, most farmers hated sending them to the sale barn because they lost money. Now a day-old calf is going between $400 to $800. Things are changing out there. Cattle herds are really low. And a rooster wasn't worth much. Now they are selling for $20 to $30. Meat is going up a lot. And this is from Jelly Bean. This is... I hate hearing stories like this, but I know that you've probably heard stories like this too. It's important for us to hear them. Jelly Bean says, over 300 medications are now in shortage. I went to the hospital for an infection. The medical student told me I wasn't sick when it was in my blood test that I had Lyme disease and subsequent other infections. I went to 2 hospitals in Lehigh Valley. Both hospitals did not perform a urine test or any tests whatsoever. I was kicked out of the hospital. I was also misdiagnosed multiple times in 3 hospitals and 2 urgent care centers. I was also told incorrect information that my medical insurance wouldn't cover basic tests, basic care and medications. I had multiple infections because of not being prescribed simple antibiotics. The doctors at the hospital are unhinged. They are telling patients that they are, 1, not really sick, and 2, that their insurance will not cover the cost of basic tests or antibiotics. Furthermore, I was then prescribed medication that I had to pay for out of my own pocket. This is the first time in years that this happened. I was told that the medicine that I was prescribed is an old medicine that is not in use anymore, but it was available, so I paid for it. I hope no one else is seriously sick as I am and denied care. I had to advocate for myself, diagnose myself, call and request blood and urine tests, and pay for my medicine with cash, regardless of my insurance coverage. Oh, and they kept referring me to specialists, so they won't let her have basic tests, right? But at the same time, they also are continuing to send them over to specialists, which is cheaper, a test done by nurses and technicians, or, seeing a specialist doctor. It's upside down world. No urine tests, no x-rays, no blood work beyond a simple blood draw. The craziness and incompetency is outrageous. Apparently, everyone is struggling, and this is not good for working people, not understanding what's going on, but it is dangerous. I assumed gender on that one, and I probably shouldn't. So they, whoever they are, Jelly Bean. This is from Kathy, and that's just a reminder, folks, that you need to advocate for yourself. For those of you who have dealt with the medical system, you got to push, right? But if you have a loved one, you need to help them push. You need to push for them, because getting things scheduled, you don't get if you don't ask. And you got to keep asking. And you got to keep asking until you ask the right person. And you got to press for things. If you realize that this is going to let you know whether or not you have something, then you need to press for the test. And because it can save you a lot of time and a lot of hassle. And if you're having urgent medical issues, you need to press even harder. Kathy says, I went to a local grocery store yesterday and didn't see much hamburger, and that was in Noble, Illinois, and I live in southeast Illinois. Solatap says, over 80 plus grocery stores had a possible cyber attack in Minnesota a few days ago. Most were Cub Foods and Super One store chains. Everything was down. No access to the time clocks, ATM, or internet access was available. No access to the store was crippled without the internet, and considering most use it for ordering and keeping track of supplies and letting people pay for the items they had in their cart. So more cyber attacks happening all over the place, right? Heather says, I live in Southwest Mississippi. Went to make a weekly deposit to my local bank, and the teller said all the systems were down and have been out for hours at all branches. She had no idea how long that would last. I needed this deposit to go in to pay bills that are due. A reminder to always stash cash, everybody. Your banks, they work when they work, but when they don't work, oh man. You need to have cash in your hands that you can use to pay for stuff in case your cards and banks all go down. And you need to make sure you have enough in your bank account that if you can't make a deposit, you can still make those payments transactions that are happening for mortgage and all that kind of stuff, right? Diane says, if you decide to freeze eggs, you must scramble the yolk first, but do not add any milk or other liquid. a frozen solid yolk will not thaw out to the right consistency. So be aware if you freeze your eggs without scrambling the yolk, that will reconstitute a little weird. So if you can experiment with that to see what it looks like, this is the time to experiment with those things, but you probably should have a couple big gallon Ziploc bags full of eggs in your freezer if you are concerned about what's going to happen next with the egg shortages. All right, friends, thanks so much for joining with us. If you want to get some more information from Genesis Gold, there's a link right there. And if you want to check out that video from Nigel Farage, his farewell speech to the EU and basically burning it to the ground verbally, like only a good British politician can do, you want to check out that video, I promise you. All right, friends, thanks so much for joining us. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.